What do you mean you couldn't catch him?
Guy's fast as lightning, boss. He just disappeared in the blue streak.
You idiot. You should have set a trap.
Boss, he blasted right through it. I'm telling you, he's bigger and badder than before. Revolutionary!
Sega.
No! In fact, forget 1996, we need to rewind the clock to 1993. Meet Sonic the Hedgehog, that fast guy who collects all the rings, the cool blue dude with the attitude. Right now, this guy is king of the world. He's got 3 popular games already done and 2 more coming out later this year. That's not including the huge ton of spin-off games, and comic books, and TV shows, and mangas. He's sitting on a pile of money, and everybody in the world right now loves him. And he's not the only one who's noticed. Sega have as well, so around this time, Yuji Naka, one of the main creators of Sonic, and Hayao Nakayama, the president of Sega at the time, are seeing dollar symbols in their eyes, because he's just that big. But then they think, wait, what are we going to do for the next game? So they get on the phone to Sonic Team. They're like, hey, Sonic Team, Sonic's pretty popular if you hadn't noticed. What are you going to do for the next game? Because the next game, well, it's got to be bigger, it's got to be better, it's got to be revolutionary. So no pressure, thanks, bye. And they were off. So Sonic Team's like, whoa, wait, what? What do we do? What? Anyone got any ideas? And so begins the sorry story of Sonic Xtreme. To make matters worse for Sonic Team, or Sega Technical Institute as they were known as at the time, half of them decided to go back to Japan because they were done with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, meaning only the American half was left. Now they had done stuff before, but the only Sonic game they'd done was Sonic Spinball, so it was kind of an upstep. But they did come up with 3 different pitches for the games, and the first one was Sonic 16. Now this was based off the popular TV show at the time, and looks a little bit like this. That's right, we do actually have the original trailer for this game, and personally I think it looks rather cool, and it was intended to be a much slower paced Sonic game. I know, kind of goes against the idea of Sonic, but you'd have loads of different moves, it was more stealth based, and looks a lot different. It even included the characters from the Sonic TV show, which technically would have made them canon in the Sonic universe. But this idea wasn't liked by the rest of the people there, so they were like, no, come back to us with something else. But, you know what, I'm going to let you see the original footage of the game itself that was produced. Here you go. Yes, this is the genuine video they used to pitch the game idea, and you can sort of see why it wasn't popular. It really doesn't look like a Sonic game, but still kind of cool. The second pitch they gave had the catchy title of Untitled Isometric Game, and this is the only image of it. It was just a mock-up image. This was actually designed before the other isometric Sonic games like Sonic 3D, but Sega didn't like the idea at the time. And the final pitch was Sonic Mars! No, No, not that kind of Mars. Or why would you even think that kind of Mars? This kind of Sonic Mars. And Sega liked this one. They were like, yeah, we'll take number 3, please. But not everyone was so optimistic. Yuji Naka, upon seeing it, simply shook his head and said, good luck. And now this is the genuine video they used to pitch this idea. And this is how Sonic Xtreme originally looked, under the name of Sonic Mars, obviously. And I'd like to point out, this was running on the Mega Drive's 32X. And it's kind of friggin' cool, it's 3D. It doesn't look great, but it's still 3D. You can see though why some people were a bit wary of the project. Compared to Sonic and Knuckles, its scenery isn't exactly stunning. But development was going pretty well for about a year. Things weren't doing too well for the 32X, no one was buying it. And then, due to internal disputes, the lead designer of the project decided that they were going to quit. Which of course meant that Sonic Xtreme now had no one in charge. But do not fret, for enter Chris Sen! Now, Chris Sen had worked on previous products like Battle Cars and Comic Zone, but this was the first time he was put in charge of a project, although he was under the impression it was going to be a temporary position until they got someone more, experienced. But he was left in charge the whole time. One of the first things he and his team did was get rid of the Sonic TV show idea that was still being considered for Sonic Mars due to lack of popularity with the dev team. They also then thought, we should probably take it off the 32X. Maybe because they noticed how stupid it looked, but probably more because Sega was just about to announce their new console, the Sega something. See, it seemed not even Sega themselves seemed to really know what the sequel to the Mega Drive was going to be. They knew it was going to be 3D, but that was about it. But because they were going over to the new system, everything they'd done so far had to be scrapped. There was some rumours flying around Sega though that the next console would be made with Nvidia, using some of its chips and Sega's help. They even started developing for it, which was probably a bad idea, because the Nvidia chip had a failed demonstration, meaning Sega was like, no thank you, and they had to get rid of everything again to port it over to the Sega Saturn. So, once again, everything they'd done had to be scrapped. Oh yes. On the bright side though, they now knew exactly what they were developing for. The Sega Saturn, everything was a go. They could get started. The project had a new name of Sonic Saturn. Which brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to our bonus round. Because there's actually a second Sonic Saturn game, just to confuse things further. This game never got past the development stage. It was never even announced officially. But we do know it was intended to be a more realistic version of Sonic's world than Sonic Xtreme was going to be. It also was going to have a bonus game as its special stages, which was Sonic Pool, and at one point this was being considered as the bonus game for Sonic 3D Blast, but in the end they went for the traditional Sonic 2 running down a big long winding tunnel idea instead. The idea was, as Sonic, you'd knock the balls into various holes and you'd win a Chaos Emerald at the end. This idea fell through. Sega didn't like it, and, well, as you know, it never came out. There were some things reused from it though. For example, the tiles on the floor of the Sonic Egyptian stage can actually be found in Sonic R. And I would think it's highly likely that some of the ideas from this game were eventually incorporated into Sonic Xtreme. But either way, the game, like the previous version of Sonic Xtreme, was scrapped. Now remember how Sonic Team were already split to go back to Japan? Well, they were splitting again! But this time supposedly as a good thing. You see, well, let's call them Team A and Team B. Team A was going to tackle the main gameplay levels and was run by Chris Sen and Alpha Alon. Team B was run by programmer Chris Coffin, and he was going to tackle the boss encounters using a 32X engine that they'd carried over. Meanwhile, a man named Mike Wallace was going to look over both teams to make sure everything was okay, and this was supposed to make things easier. But then loads of smaller teams started appearing within the bigger teams, and there were some people working on levels that hadn't been approved of yet, and other people waiting for the programming to be done. The communication just broke down. It was a mess, and it was only going to get worse. So in the next episode, or From Console to Console, we're going to look at the characters they scrapped, the different game mode styles they scrapped, the different versions of the game they scrapped, and the 7 different storylines of this one game.